We are thrilled to announce that autobrush has officially received its seal of acceptance from the American Dental Association. This significant achievement is a testament to our commitment to providing the best oral care solutions. I'm Cori, the head of growth, and I'm in charge of making sure people learn about autobrush to experience the magic themselves. Here with me are Chris, our founder, and Atul, our head of retention and experience.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm the founder of autobrush. I play many roles in the business, but my main function is product. I would say about 75% of my time is spent on product, and the other 25% of the time is spread across many functions.
Hey, my name is Atul. I'm the head of retention and experience. I make sure that our products get to our customers and ensure that they're sticking around and always happy.
Can you tell us about the journey from your initial idea to creating autobrush?
The journey actually starts with Basis, which is the parent company to autobrush. Basis has existed for 13 years. The last 7 years of Basis has consisted of brand building. At one point we had 5 separate brands, but autobrush was born in that phase of it. And I just started becoming obsessed with why hasn't this changed? It's been the same sort of thing for a very long time, a stick and then a vibrating stick. And I don't have any dental background. I arguably didn't really take care of my teeth very well. I didn't really consider my oral health as much as I do now. So I didn't have any of the professional or authority background. I was mainly an entrepreneur that got curious about why this doesn't exist. Then I became obsessed on creating the replacement of the toothbrush. I learned that that's just way harder than it sounded. I think that's the journey leading up to autobrush right there, is that there's so much that happened before autobrush that set the stage to finally welcome in something that I was ready to spend my time and my money on and build a team around.
How did you first market autobrush, and how's your strategy evolved?
In the beginning, autobrush was actually adults only. So we got a bunch of comments on our products asking if we can make this for kids. We were really set just focusing on bringing out that, this is a new technology. This is some innovation where there's previously been absolutely none. And that kind of redirected our focus to, this is a toothbrush that everyone can use. Let's make sure that we have that ability to spread autobrush everywhere. And then also, since the initial launch of autobrush, we've done so much product innovation and so much work towards proving that it truly is the best, that sometimes it's really hard for us to not just talk about its efficacy and how amazing it is in that regard. But we are constantly trying to pinpoint different ways and reasons that autobrush can be amazing in everyone's lives, because it is now a brush for the whole family rather than just the adults in your life. How do you use feedback from customers to help shape autobrush's future?
Honestly, we use every point of feedback to continuously iterate everything that we do. Every new decision that we make, from pursuing new clinical studies to developing new education for customers and improving user experiences on existing products, to really just creating new products. I think the number one reason our product exists today the way it is because of customer feedback.
What were the biggest challenges from the start, and how did you overcome them?
For sure, the biggest one was inventory. As soon as we started to sell, we started to sell a lot very quickly. And goes back to that marketing arm. We're a high functioning marketing team that knew how to leverage the internet, landing pages, assets to scale a business rapidly. During that pursuit, though, that was the first time I've ever held physical inventory in U.S. warehouses and done the importing process and all that. So you order 5,000 units and then you're done with the 5,000 units in 5 days. It's just you don't plan for that. You don't forecast for that. I don't even know if I even understood forecasting at that point. I thought 5,000 units, which was roughly, several $100,000 in revenue, we got rid of them very, very, very fast. I would say the second big challenge there was weaponizing the feedback. Like, we were selling a lot and then getting a lot of feedback, good, the bad, the ugly. And it was like, okay, clearly there's something here, but the product just needs to be way better than it actually is now. We saw the bright sides of it, and then we saw the negative sides of it. So there was it became clear pretty quickly that the nylon piece of this brush head that we eventually ended up pioneering was mission critical. There was the only way to build a real business and a real brand in this space is to have it essentially replace the toothbrush. And you can't do that unless you brush teeth much, much, much better. And early on, the materials we're using, the vibrations, the technique, all that stuff wasn't ironed out. So there was a fair amount of customer dissatisfaction that was a first for us. And that was challenging. That was really challenging. Having enough people to answer all the tickets and all the comments and then all these things. And every corner of the internet, there's somebody saying something that we missed or just weren't good at. I would say, like, I don't necessarily regret it, but in hindsight, it's like I was so obsessed with the marketing side of it that I completely lost sight of, like, I was building for the first time, I guess, really is technically the excuse. But I look back now and I'm like, man, it wasn't the wisest move to just rip it right away. We learned a lot in that first 6 months.
Can you share a story where customer feedback helps improve autobrush?
Yeah, so our most vocal audiences are community parents with kids that have SPD, autism, and ADHD. You know, ultimately, like, the audience has truly driven a lot of meaningful changes over the years. One thing that comes to mind is being able to turn off the music on our Pro brushes after we got feedback from parents with kids that have sensory sensitivities. We've always gotten pricing feedback throughout the years. And ultimately, like, that pushed us to introduce more inexpensive options. So the manual and sonic brushes that you see available today is a direct result of pricing feedback. What challenges did you face while growing the brand and pursuing ADA acceptance, and how did you overcome them?
Doubt is the biggest one across all boards. So doubt that we've worked from customers and from dentists. We, in our studies that got us to the ADA acceptance, we didn't just have to prove that we were better than what normal people do in their typical brushing habits, whether that be 30 seconds, 3 minutes, whatever the normal is. We've had to go against the set safety standards of 2 minutes with a timer, the proper weight amount of fluoride in toothpaste, the whole 9 yards, and prove that we're better than our routine. So our studies in that 5.1 times better clean that we can firmly brag about now is a combined study with kids, adults, every single person on the planet can get a 5 times 1 better clean than a normal toothbrush, and really focusing on those studies that can help drive away any of that doubt, because we are wonderful. So we truly stand behind our brush, and that was our main way to remove that doubt. And now with the ADA seal, that should extra be a thing of the past. How did you and the team stay motivated throughout the ADA acceptance process?
The very first thing that comes to my mind, it just wasn't ever easy. Never. It wasn't easy. There was plenty of ups and downs during that. I would say not everybody did, is also the truth. We are in good graces with all the people that have left, I guess, autobrush, or, yeah, I would say left more often than not. There's always opportunity, I think, for them to come back. But I would say, like, at the very top of this is that it wasn't always clear. It wasn't. And sometimes were much more difficult than others. And one big note here is that this is not a venture capital business. We have no debt. It's all self-funded. It is completely bootstrapped. This business is financed by me as it gets ramped up and building revenue and building the model and building better products. It's like there was a lot of investment of not just my finance, but our like emotional capital too. And, some days that weighed harder on me, which then weighed on the team too. So I would say that's the preface of how did we stay motivated. The one thing that I think is tried and true is that something worth doing is always just worth doing. Like at its core, we saw the light. Didn't really know how far the distance was, but it was enough to see in the clinical data, the reviews that we get every day, the performance on our actual business increasing, the revenue increasing, like, getting to it, you figure run rate relatively quickly is not something normal companies do or normal products do. We got going quickly. So there was a lot of really great signs in the business, and like the heavy spending was mostly on R&D, right? Like we understood that if we could survive the R&D phase and get to a run rate that is sustainable with profit, we could keep dumping in millions into R&D and still keep it bootstrapped. So that was the combination that was very difficult to, I wouldn't say stay motivated in it. It is easy to stay motivated, in my opinion, I guess like our tenure also speaks to us. I guess we have some people leave, but most people stay. And, autobrush isn't the reason they're leaving. It's either some other, life-changing things or maybe career changes, right? Like it's not that they lost faith in autobrush. I think that, sometimes life calls for other things, and that's happened many more times than people like, I'm just going to go do something else. I could count less than two people or two people in total. So when it's worth doing, it's pretty easy.
How excited are you to communicate the benefits of ADA acceptance to customers?
I'm beyond excited. Honestly, like I have a growing list of comments from doubters that I plan to reply to first. I've kept this news kind of like bottled up over the last couple of months, and I'm ready to just tell every customer everywhere. But I think I'm most looking forward to sharing it with our existing customers because they ultimately believed in our brand first before this news, and I can't wait for them to hear about it and celebrate it with them. And I think beyond just, being excited to communicate it, I think there's a lot of just immense pride. I joined autobrush in 2020 and really been with the brand for 4.5 years. And since the beginning, we were always planning to pursue ADA acceptance. And beyond that, it's just really amazing to see that reality come to fruition, and it's incredibly fulfilling.
Why was getting the ADA seal important at autobrush?
In the simplest terms, the biggest issue after a while. So like there was all these phases of bigger issues. I think eventually the biggest issue was that there was just a natural skepticism that extended from the consumers and from the dental community. And it was right that you should be skeptical of new devices. You should have to prove it if you're coming into the space as the replacement of a toothbrush. So that it was always pretty clear that the only real way to do that, to change behavior, to get consumer confidence, to get authority confidence, which means like hygienists, dentists, clinicians, like all these people that they hold the authority in the space because they've been in it for a long time, but they understand that the data is the only way to proving out the safety and the efficacy. So it was important because that's how you turn the tide. You turn the tide with the seal because the seal represents the highest standard of excellence in taking care of your teeth. And if autobrush ever wanted to be really considered as a replacement of the toothbrush, there was only one route. It was clear from the beginning. Not easy, but it was very clear. And that's why it's the most important. The vision was to replace the toothbrush. I see a world where people brush their teeth differently, and I see it with autobrush.
What steps do you take to make sure autobrush meets ADA standards?
it was a 3.5-year process. So if there were like numbered steps, it was like, okay, I started calling the clinical sites, got mostly rejected. One clinical site was like, hey, seems like you're pretty early on in this, this discovery phase. There's a lot of stuff in this space. You should talk to this lady and hire this lady. That lady is Sylvia. I spent the last 3 years of my life talking to Sylvia. So it really started with getting lucky again. I would say I was making the call, so it's like I put myself in that position, but prototypes to Sylvia time and time again, fixing the bristle length, the angles, the materials of the brush head, a single arch versus double arch. Like, we went through prototyping 4 years to eventually get to the point where we went through the 2 big ADA clinicals with a product that had been really, really tried and true. So the efficacy side, we had built up confidence to keep spending significant money into this. And then the safety side was unique. We went through 12 different Intertech studies or safety testing around autobrush, and 2, ADA is very, very strict on the safety side of it, just as strict on the safety side as the efficacy side. So we were doing light tests, audible tests, vibration tests, toughness tests, abrasion tests. God, I'm probably missing stuff in there. We had to do GMPs and the factories, but there was roughly about 12. I'm like looking at a little list on my right here. There's 12 PDFs that I'm looking at right now that all have, wild descriptors, and we were testing everything that you could have possibly challenged about autobrush. And it was 3.5 years, and those years consisted of 1 pilot study and then 2 very large studies. And those 2 large studies were designed for children and adults, because we were seeing this a great efficacy with adults. That kids, it was kids aren't great at brushing their teeth, so I wouldn't say it was like a layup. Anything that requires less technique and covers all their teeth and it's fun and faster, you're pretty much rowing in a nice boat with children. But for adults, they have better technique with a manual toothbrush. So obviously the results difference was less than the kids, but not by a whole lot, which was that was our first study with adults, and it was pretty clear, it's the best toothbrush that's ever existed. So
how did customer feedback contribute to achieving ADA acceptance?
I think it really painted a reality that we were going to continuously face doubts about whether or not our product worked or was safe unless we really aggressively pursued the seal. The thing that I wanted to really impart on customers that might be listening is, this wasn't a quick process. It didn't happen overnight. There was a lot of rigor involved, from working directly with the ADA to develop a testing protocol that, made sense for a specialty toothbrush. That's what the ADA calls our brush, like ours, to, pursuing and really crushing all the clinical studies that we've done. Redefining a convention isn't easy. And I think ADA acceptance is ultimately the gold standard for dental products. And I believe that it helps to drive consumer and dentist trust. And hopefully this will help us get more dental professionals aware of autobrush and more accepting of it as a new convention. How important is innovation for autobrush's growth?
Extremely. The better the brush works, the happier our customers are, and the more we get to truly brag about how it is the best option, because it is. So the brush heads just keep on getting better. We recently in May launched a variation with blue bristle strips so people know when to replace them. The silicone bristles help with extra blood flow now so that your gum health can improve faster and better. We really want our product to stand above the rest and it's amazing to be able to call it out in our marketing. How do you address customer concerns about product safety and efficacy?
Honestly, we take it very seriously. We're always pretty forward about sharing our clinical studies with customers. I think the number one thing that separates us from other U-shaped toothbrush brands is the fact that we are clinically effective and safe. Unfortunately, there's a lot of knockoffs in the space that use an inferior brush head made of silicone. So it's really driven negative perceptions about U-shaped toothbrushes. So it's definitely something we're working adamantly to create better education around separating autobrush from the knockoffs that exist in the space. Beyond just clinical studies, we've done a lot of additional testing to ensure that the products that our customers use today are as really truly safe as possible, from testing the lights on our Pro Brush to ensure that they're safe, and conducting audio decibel testing to ensure that the music isn't too loud, all the way to waterproofing and electrical testing. We've done a lot just beyond clinical studies to ensure that we're confident in what we're selling our customers, and we know that they're safe and effective.
What does the ADA acceptance mean for autobrush and its users?
The consumer's trust. It's the ultimate signal that is tried and true safe and tried and true effective. That what we are saying in our marketing is actually true, because now it gets regulated and it's already passed through approvals. You're feeling pretty good. And if you're a past purchaser of autobrush, you're probably feeling really good too, of like, hey, I took a flyer on a new innovation, and maybe you're an early adopter or whatever side of the spectrum you're on here. And if you're a current or past consumer, you're probably feeling pretty good that you backed a company that was devoted to proving it out. If I had 30 seconds with anybody, any consumer that was skeptical of it, and then I was able to explain why autobrush is unique, why it works, and it's been proven now 3 separate times, I think it would be a very compelling story that it is better and faster than what you are doing twice a day, every day. And it's undisputable. And we will continue to build upon that clinical base for all unique data sets. So we have a lot of more clinicals in route. So on the consumer side, what does it mean? Trust and safety. I would say, what does it mean for autobrush? It is like, I don't want to say it's everything, because I think this business still exists and thrives without it. I think it has a glass ceiling without it, though. And now, upon release, it is the moment where the world has to start taking us seriously. And I would say any company that has gone through what we went through to get it, and how committed we are in this entire process, should mean almost as much as the ADA, because that for as long as we're here, and as long as I have control over it, the product is going to continue to get better. I will continue to listen to the feedback. I will continue the pursuit the same way I got to the ADA. There's still many more things left to be done. There's still things that need to be fixed with autobrush. I would say, like, the ADA doesn't solve everything, and for 85% of the people, the fitment is right. I would say, like, on the sizing part of it, it's like we have a very clear path of how I want to address that and make this a toothbrush everybody can enjoy on all fronts: kids, adults, geriatrics, persons with disabilities. There's a very wide range of people that can benefit from an autobrush. So what does it mean? It's borderline everything. It's a signal to the competency of the people that are running it, a signal that the product works, that it's safe, and an internal signal for us of, like, we're playing for real. We're not just trying to like sell toothbrushes and make some profit and just go about our day. We're like, no, we're playing for real, and we continue. You know, we're the pioneers in this space. This is another step in a journey of firsts for autobrush. We have a lot of firsts on our belt, but this is probably the most important one out of them all. So it means a lot to me personally. You know, it's like there's definitely times where you're like, oh shit, I don't know if it's going to make it. I don't know. Can I get there fast enough? Is the product getting good enough? Is there a clear path? Like, there's definitely really hard times in between this success story, for sure. Very, very difficult times.
What impact do you expect the ADA acceptance to have on autobrush's growth?
Hopefully, it just gives everyone the peace of mind that our brushes are safe and effective. So dentists and other normal people can just understand that we are truly who we say we are. And hopefully, fingers crossed, dentists will want to partner with us even more because we are a fantastic brush.
What are your plans for scaling autobrush now that it has ADA acceptance?
Simply put, scream it from the rooftop. So it'll be as many ads, it'll be on our website, it'll be everywhere. Visible, loud, and proud, because it is, it's been our mission over the last couple of years to get this seal, and now it's here. It's our mission now to make sure that everyone knows that autobrush is just simply the best. What's next for autobrush now that you've received the ADA acceptance?
More clinicals, for sure. We have the next 3 lined up. And the big one now is to go the dentist route. We had plenty of dentists before that supported autobrush, and it was awesome. But there was always this natural skepticism, which I think is fair. But this is the authority phase of autobrush, and it is to partner with dentists and get the feedback, work on the product more, try to understand the needs of the dentist, try to get a little closer to the consumer's needs from the dental perspective. Like, we have a ton of data on our actual consumers, but we don't have a whole lot of insight into what actually happens in the chairs or in the offices, or what do they really need? How can I make it more affordable for people? How do you start to work on the economics of it, of it's still out of reach for a lot of people. And so there's a couple phases next, right? Do more clinicals, keep proving it. Never get complacent in proving it. Make the product better, but now with more dedicated help and more dedicated one-on-one contact with dentists and the dental community as a whole. The B2B part of autobrush has quite literally never existed outside of some small retail things. We're not just a kids brand anymore. We're not. And that positioning has to shift, and the physical experience of autobrush and how we cater to the people that we serve, all of it is changing in such a meaningful way.